Hello, I'm David Hunt, and welcome to my little segment on this wonderful program called Bent TV. Hey, my guest today, born in England, an army brat, I could imagine that, can't wait to hear the stories there. Went to uni, a drama school, ended up busking around London for 7 years. Wow, that's amazing. Also supporting Tori Amos on a tour. I think we can stop there. Is there anything more that we need to talk about? Because that alone is amazing. Oh, then all of a sudden she comes to Australia. Yay, the flags came out. Here she comes, here she comes. 30 plus years across TV, social media, publishing, radio and film. Animal lover. There is a dog nearby as we speak. And writer, producer of an animal series, but also involved in, get this one people, the Real Housewives of Melbourne. Wow, there's so much to talk about. Gillian Bartlett, hello.
Hello.
Now let's start. England.
Yes.
Growing up there. Whereabouts in England?
Well, my father, as you mentioned, was in the army, so there was not one place.
Okay. Oh, of course you would be moving.
Yes, but my favourite place, and probably where I spent, my happiest times in my youth, was in this little place called Lark Hill, which is in Wiltshire, and it's about a mile from Stonehenge.
Oh.
So I used to walk to Stonehenge.
Oh gosh.
And at that time, you could still crawl over the stones.
Oh really?
Yeah, my initials might still be engraved in one of the stones.
No. And because in Victorian era, they would all go there, in horse and carts and all that, and chip bits of it away and take it away for souvenirs.
Yeah, nice one.
And you just think, but they didn't know any better then.
No.
So how hard was it though, moving around different schools, different friends?
I didn't mind it because I loved going to different places, but when I look back on it, I'm also an only child.
Oh, okay.
So that meant, as you're saying, moving schools, different friends. It made that really hard for me. I think I'm still quite the loner.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of isolation when I was a child.
Oh, you're like cry on my shoulder later.
Oh, great. No, but it was quite isolating.
Yeah, it would be. It would be, like moving school, because you don't know who you are and whatever.
Exactly.
Talking about that, when did you realise, hold on, I'm attracted to women?
As kids, I think, you have crushes, but maybe don't make anything of it, or you don't realise there might be something sexualised to it. Like I do remember Mrs. French in junior school, she was a music teacher.
Right.
And I do remember looking at some of the fifth years when I was, so that's like they were 15 when I was 11, but I didn't really kind of cotton on.
Yeah.
I suppose that really when I got to university is when I sort of became more aware. And looking back now, I'm going, why didn't anybody tell me in my school years? I think I would have been a barn door lesbian.
You get that, when I came out much later in life, and my nieces and nephews who aren't all that much younger than me, all said, we always knew.
Yeah.
But it's that struggle. What about telling your parents, army father?
Army father, yes. Well, this is also a little bit of a sad story in that I think by the time I was ready to tell my parents, which was when I was 23, I just, I'd had enough of a skirmish to know that I was definitely on that side. I mean, I'd given men a good go during my university years, bless them. And, but I was ready to tell my parents. Unfortunately, my mother was seriously ill. From cancer, and I didn't really want to bother her on her deathbed, if you know what I mean. So I never got to tell my mum, which is pretty tragic. I told my father maybe a year and a half later, and there was a strategy involved because he had just hooked up with a new woman himself. Yep. And so I told her. And that was strategic because it sort of meant that I'd accepted her by divulging my secret. So she told him, and I think he was so pleased that I'd entrusted her with my secret, that made him softer on me.
Right, okay.
So I would say he never what did he say? I don't accept it, but, you know, I don't understand it, but I accept it, is where we got to. But he later disowned me, so.
Right. Wow. So all of a sudden, you know, like you're in London and you decided to be a busker?
Well, I'd gone to drama school. I wanted to be an actor. And I think, to be honest, when I look back on that, that was more about trying to be loved. As I said, I'd been quite the loner. And lots of us go into performing for different reasons.
Yep.
You know, I think sometimes it's the approval we want, you know.
Well, and it's also so many actors and a lot of comedians in particular are often shy people.
Yeah.
And you know, like, and when you get to know them, you go, wow, but you go out on stage and you're a different person because you're acting as somebody else, aren't you?
That's right. I mean, lots of people are surprised when I say I'm an introvert, as am I, because you may know I'm quite outgoing, but I think that that's more to do with feeling that I've needed to be the dancing monkey because I hadn't had the security of family or friends. You know, my mum died when I was young. My father then, you know, really was not available. So, you know, I've been doing that. So the busking came from being at drama school and remembering that I was quite good at singing. Actually, I think I was a lot better at singing than acting. So, you know, picked up the guitar, how to make money after going to drama school because the jobs weren't pouring in, and ended up loving it. It became a job going down on the underground.
You were making money?
Yes.
Enough to get by on?
It was illegal at the time.
Right.
Yeah, I'd get moved on, or I think I did get prosecuted once. Had to pay £5.
Oh, it's so expensive.
I know. But no, I'd made quite good money. And to be honest, it's probably one of the most honest things I've ever done. Because if you're playing, you know, in a long tunnel and it's enough time for people to hear you and you're, you know, singing your heart out, they pay you if they think you're worth it. And so in some ways.
Yeah, because it's not just that moment they're hearing you, a quick walk. It's, as you were saying, in a tunnel.
That's
they're hearing you. And I think it was also an era where a busker was something of a novelty and it was something a little bit more exciting, wasn't it?
Maybe, as I say, you know, it was also illegal. So we had this whole system of certain places that buskers had decided were good, you know, mine particularly on the Central Line in Oxford Circus. And the first person in there in the morning would start a list. So at that list, they put themselves down for an hour, and then you could come along and put yourself down for an hour, and then come back when it was your turn. Sounds great. More often than not, they'd been moved on by the police already, and another person had started another list. And, you know, so
I could imagine it would be, you know, like a dog-eat-dog situation.
But I started to write songs.
Oh, did you?
And then I started to play in venues around London.
Right.
You know, and I had a band at one stage.
Wow.
And yeah, so I was making a decent living. London's not that easy to get by.
And as if there isn't so many people flooding to London because it is a mecca for the music industry, well, for the arts.
Very competitive, yes.
Tori Amos,
yes.
you supported her?
Yes, that was by chance, but it was wonderful. It was early in her career, the little earthquakes time.
Oh, yes.
And I think that the first night I supported her, I had no idea who she was. Right. And when
how did you get the gig?
I was just hired. I was hired by the venue. And so I didn't really know. Nobody knew who she was. Yeah. And on the first night, this little redhead girl that was sitting up by the engineer with half a pint of lager, you know, was being lovely. He said, "I love your set." And I'm like, "Thank you, engineer's girlfriend." Obviously, she'd already sound checked. There was this little white grand piano in the middle. And so I finished, you know, got my half a pint of lager, probably a pint, and sat down. Then little engineer's girlfriend gets up, goes to the piano, and blows us all away with Crucify. Yeah. Playing solo, side saddle, incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, and so I got to play with her a few more times.
Wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Wow. Seeing an artist that went on to, you know, quite international fame. That's a little bit of a coup in a way, isn't it?
It is. It was lovely to see her and be blown away. It also told me, yeah, Gillian, you're all right, but
Yep. Yeah.
she's good.
She's good. All right. So moving to Australia,
Oh,
why?
yeah. Oh dear. Well, it still was a struggle in London. It's a very tough place as an artist, and also I was in a long-term relationship with a woman.
Yep.
And I think I'd fallen out of love with her, or, you know, I kind of felt like I needed to leave, but I kept running back. Remember, I'd lost my mother when I was 23, and then I'd fallen in love with Catherine less than a year later, so I'm sure I transferred some of those feelings onto her, which probably wasn't terribly healthy.
Yeah.
So my friend Madeline Swain was here.
Right.
We knew each other from drama school.
Okay.
And I thought, I'm going to go and visit Madeline, see what sort of wicket she's on. And I came out here to Midsummer. There was all sorts of carnivals and swimming in Param Pool. I mean, how gorgeous was that?
Why Melbourne?
Just because Madeline was here, and it was a long way away,
Yeah,
so I was less likely to run back to my relationship.
Well, no, it's just that a lot of people just think Sydney, don't they? You know, like,
they do, but you know, I'm not a Sydney sider.
I've lived there twice.
Have you? And what did you think?
Oh, I'd moved back to Melbourne. You know, this is where I wanted to end up, and I'm originally from Adelaide. But you know, like, Melbourne people know who they are. They're community driven. You know, like we flow with whatever's going. And there's so much love and artistic ability running through everyone. Yeah. Where Sydney people are going, I don't know, what am I doing now?
Well, you know, if I wanted to live in a sort of big artistic metropolis, I think I'd go back, you know, I'd go back to London because, you know, London is London. But Melbourne is almost like this little country town that has a big city culture. Yep. So how great is that? You can still walk down the street and recognise people and have that community feeling, as you said, but it also is artistic. You know, the open-mindedness and the cultural, the artistry that you can have here. Perfect. You know, if we just had an old country pub here, like we do in England with the furniture nailed down, we'd have everything.
We'd have everything.
Yeah.
What did you do when you first got here?
Again, I busked because I only had a few $100.
Whereabouts?
St Kilda by the Commonwealth Bank, can I say that?
Yeah. Oh, that's on Ackland Street.
That's right.
It's one of the only banks that's still in Ackland Street.
And at that time, it had an ATM.
Right.
So people would have to queue to get their money. Right. Well, hello, while you're queuing, of course, nobody has cash anymore.
No.
But then I started to play venues like Glass House and Girl Bar.
Wow.
And and then eventually sort of got into a few writing jobs.
How did that happen? You know, like moving, you know, like, because busking, you know, like being an actor, you know, writing, you always knew that there was a writer in you?
Well,
writing songs, I suppose.
Well, yes, but, you know, my confession is that when I was at drama school thinking, you know, am I going to be the next big thing? I do remember one of the tutors saying to me, Gillian, have you ever thought about writing? Which I didn't take as a compliment at the time. But since then.
Yeah, but really interesting, the amount of directors and producers that I meet, and they started off at uni as actors, and then they've got, we knew that we wanted to stay in the arts, but we knew we weren't a great actor.
Yes.
But, you know, like, the writing and directing took us.
Yes, so I would say that I am probably a natural writer, you know, from the writing lyrics and then writing articles, and then I became a magazine editor.
Oh, which one?
I don't know if it's still going. It was called Desktop, and so it was part sort of, it was left and right brain, although apparently that's a crock. It was sort of print publishing, desktop publishing, but also graphic design. So creative and technological. Yeah, it was a great challenge, and playing with words. You know, I can play with words eternally.
Right. Okay, well, what about, like you're new here and the scene, like were you starting to hang out at girl bars and you were playing the Glass House and Girl Bar as well?
I was. I was a kid in a sweet shop. Although I was already 30, London had not been what it is now. There was no real gay scene. The lesbian bars were like, one very butch woman with a beard down in Brixton, running the record player. Where I came to here in St Kilda, wow, what a revelation that was, openly gay and, midsummer. So yes, I went out. I probably made a few mistakes, may have not exactly broken hearts, but pissed a few people off. Because I was a bit like a kid in a sweet shop.
Yeah.
And loved the dancing, wow.
Yeah. Melbourne, back in that era, was one of the biggest nightclub cities in the world per head of population.
Yeah.
Which it really surprised a lot of people. There were so many nightclubs and bars and all that.
Yeah.
So how did you get involved in television?
Well, it was actually Bent TV.
Oh, was it?
Yeah. Just found out about it and I started on this little panel show called Squeal. And then I had my own show that almost became my own show on SBS.
Oh, wow.
Called Inside Out. It was sort of in the late 90s, before we had the internet and, Zoom meetings, etc.
Yep.
I came up with this show where I was this agoraphobic extrovert. So I always stayed inside, but I do these interviews as if I was doing them online, even though there was no such thing. So I would, in real life, go and interview somebody and remove my parts of the interview, learn enough of what they'd said to interact with it live on camera to look like we were actually chatting online.
Why didn't SBS pick it up?
Well, I think something I've learned in television, their commissioning editor at the time was Craig Colley, Jay Tomar was Lesbian, was an executive producer. They were working on the show that was called Logged In, so clever. And they got the sack, and the incoming wasn't interested.
Yeah.
So
it went no further. Were you disappointed?
Oh yes.
Yeah. What did you think you could do to compensate? Or did you just drop the ball on it?
I dropped the ball. Having ADHD, I think what I do, I will really dedicate myself to something, for a short while, and I will be all there, and then I'll go, oh, well, that's gone. I'll go on to something else. So then I got more into behind the scenes, making shows, some observational documentaries, and, then got into proper television, if you like. And, from there, it's always, I've always either been writing or developing or post-producing.
Do you like all of that side of it?
I do.
Yeah.
I do. It's.
And you've done it for a long time now too, haven't you?
I have. Probably 20 odd years.
Did you go and study it at all, or did you just, get
Did I mention
jobs?
the ADHD? I haven't been able to go back to study since university. Just.
Right.
My legs go, I'm like, oh, I've got it. I must go and start doing it now. So no, what I've learned, I've learned on the job.
Wow. Do you think people could do that now? Or is it too hard now with, all the uni that you expect to have uni here and uni there?
I really don't know because, the job market asked me, I really have no idea how anybody gets a job now. So whether that, in television, broadcast television is
changing so much, isn't it?
That's right. We've got so many channels and ways of receiving content, yet we've still only got the same amount of eyes as we ever had. So there's so much out there, but so little money to spend on it because there's still only the same amount of people consuming it.
Well, it certainly has changed. And the fact is that the commercial stations aren't the powerhouse they used to be, as we know, because of the streaming services.
That's right.
So it's a changing world dramatically, isn't it?
And now with AI.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's going to be. Are you looking at that at all?
Oh, yes.
You are?
If I dare say, there's a few funding applications that I've been writing.
Oh, okay.
And AI and I have, been getting on very well.
I've tried to do that a few times.
Right.
And I go, I don't know if I can do it. Like,
what do you mean?
Like
Morally?
going after, going after applications, funding.
That is why I'm thinking the only reason I'm able to do it is because of AI, because absolutely not. It is the most onerous, boring, hideous process. The questions they ask you, you're like, so I say to AI, what the hell do they want from me? And AI goes, yes, I know it's hard, something like that. And then it gives me all the answers. Perfect.
But won't the person reading it think they've got it from AI?
Well, if they've got any sense about them, they'll be jolly grateful that it has been, because I tell you what, it's a lot better than I could have done.
Yeah, true. But what about the rejection as well? That was the thing. I went after a couple thinking I was going to get them, and you don't, and you just go, well, what's the point?
Well, rejection is, it's part of it, and unfortunately, it can be addictive.
Oh, really?
Well, what do I mean? I mean that idea that you've just got to push a little more, shit up that hill, and you'll get there. It can be addictive. But yes, if you work in the arts in any way, that is dependent upon somebody giving you a yes or a approval, you're going to have to get used to rejection. Somebody once told me, working in development that I do, where you come up with ideas and you work them through, that out of all of the projects, TV projects he'd worked on, that 80% never went anywhere. So you have to get used to having your heart broken. Yeah. And, some great ideas, like laying there, nothing's happening. That's it.
What about relationships through this period?
Yes.
Like, was there any long term?
Yes, I'd suppose you'd probably term me a serial monogamist. My last relationship was 10 years.
Okay.
The one before that was 7 years. I've had a 5-year relationship. So, I'm still working on it. So many relationships tell you a lot about your childhood, don't they? And my last relationship told me a lot about my relationship with my father.
Oh, okay.
How many of us, think that we've evolved beyond what we've learned as children, only to find ourselves repeating those same patterns.
You've had a ridiculously successful radio show with Claire.
Yes.
And went on for years and was, like so loved and so regarded. Then you walked away from it.
Yes.
But then it's just come back recently. What did you get out of doing the radio show on Joy?
Yes, the G-spot. On G-spot on Joy, you can't quite put your finger on it.
It was a magic time for the station too, wasn't it?
Magic time for the station, maybe. I guess I can't comment on that, but it certainly was it's been a magic time for me in the studio with Claire. When some people say you're greater than the sum of your parts, when she and I get together in the studio, that there's just something that happens that I cannot put my finger on, but I think not only does it feed us, it feeds the audience, which is your perfect situation.
Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, when you came back, Claire's not doing it with you at present.
Not at the moment.
But hopefully she'll be back.
She better be.
So who are you doing the show with now?
With my stepson. Well, he just calls me Mum. Felix.
Right.
I call him my son who knows everything. It's not just because he thinks he knows, he does actually know quite a bit.
Okay. So that was from a relationship?
Yes.
And you stayed obviously in contact with him?
Mostly, him and his twin brother.
Right.
Sebastian.
Oh, they're twins, are they?
My son who remembers everything.
Right.
Yeah, we have a great relationship, and I think, to be honest, now they're 19, and I, left the relationship when they were 18 and had finished school. I think now we can actually have a better and more free and honest relationship. And yeah, they're wonderful boys.
But engaging them in the a breakfast show with you, it's genius in a way.
Thank you.
And you know, like, and so important for our community to see something like that happening.
I don't think there's been a mother and son show on Joy before. I mean, I wouldn't have put him up for it if I didn't think he'd be good. I just thought, just generally, I thought he'd benefit from doing the radio training. He's very outgoing. He's got a lot to say. And I thought it would help him grow. I didn't think that we would end up in this scenario. But
look at the smile on your face as well.
Yeah.
So like, you're happy that this is happening.
Oh my goodness.
And he's enjoying it.
Yeah, and he's terrific. Watching him blossom, and I take so much pleasure in watching him grow, and I find him hilarious. So it's no problem. Yeah.
So many twists and turns in your life. What's next? In a way, like.
That is hard because I have just turned the big 6-0. It's a milestone, David, and it sort of brings everything into question. Jane Fonda, sort of calls it going into the third act. So much has changed about my thinking, and I haven't quite landed there yet. So I'm trying to give myself a bit of time to work out what that is.
No, do you know what? So young, because I've got so many years up on you, and it just gets better.
Oh, good.
It just gets better, and you'll have a ball because you it's not the end of the road per se. Like there's so much more, and the fact is, if you're willing enough to take the chances, they're there for you.
Well, I guess I always have been. I think when I arrived in singledom and reaching 60, there was an awful lot of anxiety. Like, am I at the end? Am I really vulnerable? And that consumed me for a few months. But now I'm playing pickleball, so,
Gillian, this has been the most lovely chat. There'd be so much more that we could talk about, but unfortunately, our time's up.
Well, thank you. It's been wonderful to be grilled by you.
Yeah, well, not grilled, like just finding out about, you, that wonderful person. You really have had a brilliant career.
Oh,
so congratulations.
Thank you so much. That means a lot, David.
Oh, my pleasure. Gillian Bartlett, awesome person. I'm David Hunt, and that's it for today's show. See ya.